welcome to my April and mental health May roundup. I missed April because I've been through a lot and been distracted and all that. This is actually my third take of a video. The first take took 2 hours long of me recording, deleted in the technological ether. The second one took an hour long, and I was editing that, which was fun, and that took a long amount of time, so I'll see how long this one takes, but I'll probably be driving myself crazy, but that's fun. So what's been evident in the past couple of months is that life has other plans and that sort of stuff. Before I get into the nitty-gritty of negativity and other stuff that I would say bums me out, I'll share a couple of positivity quotes. So one thing that I heard from a friend was that go where you are accepted, not where you are tolerated. The meaning of life is to find your gifts. The purpose of life is to give it. And now I've got the positivity out of the way, let's get to the negativity. For starters, nihilism. Nothing matters, God is dead, God remains dead, and we have killed him. Yeah, it's fun thinking that sort of stuff. I've been thinking a lot about nihilism, and it's kind of helping me with my mental health, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it, or if it keeps on working, don't fix it. Whatever you want to say about that. So nihilism, what I use, goes down 2 branches. So you have existentialism. Dealing with existentialism, nothing matters except what matters to us. And what really was profound for me for thinking was that everything is a choice. Now, that kind of blew my mind in the moment, but it's kind of good thinking that sort of stuff in line with sort of self-love, in that there's power within oneself. And then absurdism, the other branch of nihilism that I focus on, that nothing matters and that is absurd, and what happens is absurd, and you've just got to find the joy in absurdism, which I've actually had a little bit of a time when I did feel that and was good, but not fully stuck with it, so it's still a process. Another dose of good amongst this negativity talk is thank you very much to all of the friends and people who I have been able to talk to and everything like that. It's given me an outlet to process and get to a good place with my thoughts, which is good, whatever good means. Nihilism, good is just a made-up word. It's fun thinking, where I get the idea that there is no meaning to good, is that I believe that the bad times allow you to have a higher probability of having good times, so the bad times help enforce your good times, and with that thought, then things that are not good help you feel good, and the things that are good make you feel good. With that, everything makes you feel good, and egalitarianly, nothing makes you feel good, and then we have nihilism, i.e. nothing makes you feel good. But yeah, no, it's fun thinking. So the issue that has sent me down this rabbit hole of thinking and nihilism and everything like that is just the issue of the importance of law, that sort of thing. Petty law, people stopping for people at crosswalks. I live in the northeast of America, so people are pretty aggressive, and yeah, it's exciting walking around, almost getting run over by people, and it can be triggering and everything like that. What happened was that I was at a psychiatric screening, and I shared the fleeting musing that I was going to cross the road, yet the driver didn't stop, and I was just thinking, out of curiosity, what would happen if I just continued? And they took that as I was thinking of suicide, which I say no, I was not, but then that sent me to the psych ward, and then I had another triggering event when I was released from the psych ward, walking across the sidewalk, and this driver who is coming out of a parking lot was blocking the sidewalk, most of the sidewalk. I just sort of went in front of them, and they started to move back out while I was in front of them. I'm making the assumption that they were taking the mickey out of me and rolling me up, that sort of thing, and it was fun. Yeah, so the way that I go about crossing the crosswalk is a high-risk, high-return outlook on it, in that I make sure that I look like I'm gonna cross the road, i.e. I would put myself a little bit in front of the car, and they would be like, oh shit, I've got to stop for this person, otherwise I'll run them over, and in that case they'll follow the law. And people have said that there's issue with that, but I'm still alive, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This brings up a lot of stuff related to self-love and that sort of stuff, especially with regards to values. I hold that my values very deeply, and I love myself for my values and that sort of stuff, and this whole situation has put in question those values, and it's exciting. I've been told that I look like I'm tormenting myself over them, but better to go through the difficulty and hopefully sort out what's wrong with the difficulty, so that when you are later faced with it, you don't have the same problem. The two major values that are brought up with the situation of people not stopping the law for stopping at the crosswalk when there is a pedestrian at the crosswalk is the value of self-preservation and the value of contractualism, i.e. duty to society, that sort of thing, and also asking the best of myself too much, but it's a lot that I've been thinking about, and it's fun. I also didn't have my phone in the psych ward. I didn't have any access to it, which was a good thing because I abstained forcefully from the shitstorm of news that's going on in America. But yeah, this also affects me in that I expect too much from people. I expect people to follow the little thing and to follow the law and to brake when there's a pedestrian at the crosswalk, that sort of stuff, but it's too much to ask for, I guess. I've been talking a lot about this. I'm just giving sort of a primer on this, but I'll maybe work on a longer video about this because there's a lot to talk about. But yeah, one thing that I've been getting to with all of this is sort of, I believe, the real heart of mental health. I'm currently seeing a group therapy session, and yeah, the therapists have raised that I'm really bringing up big questions in mental health and that sort of stuff, which is good to get to the issue, that sort of thing, but these are just the things that I've been thinking about. One of them is that just sort of the openness to other opinions and to change your mind, that sort of stuff. I believe that following the law should be a, duty of a citizen, that sort of stuff. It's a social contract that we all abide to. However, I know that there are errors in law and there are faults in law, that sort of stuff. For the laws that are justifiable and are fair to society and benefit society, i.e. stopping for people at crosswalks, I believe they should be followed. Let me know what you think in the comments. An argument that I've made for having that law is that what if there is an infinite line of cars and you don't have to stop for the pedestrian, then the pedestrian never gets across the road. On the other hand, if there's an infinite line of pedestrians, then the car wouldn't go, but in that case, why have a car? Just walk. I'm a person who doesn't have the ability to get a car. I am, relying on public transport, which has errors in it and is not fully reliable. Brings up a lot of emotions, that sort of stuff. The openness for the mind, your openness to, what do you interpret and that sort of stuff is linked with existentialism because it's your choice to have your mind open to other ideas. Another thing that I've been dealing with is how that we all affect each other. So if someone says on the street, oh, you look depressed, I take it that you're going to be more likely to be depressed, that sort of thing. When a friend told me that I look like I'm tormenting myself, that made me feel like I was tormenting myself. It's an absurd thought, but I've just gotta go along with the absurdity and accept it. Another thought on my mind is the idea of stressors, especially the absurd thought that we are responsible for being stressed about a stressor, that sort of thing. In my mind, I believe that when you are faced with a stressor, you have a choice to relinquish yourself to being stressed, or you have the option of being mindful. and it is an absurd thought, but I've gotta kind of just accept it. One thing that I've discussed in group therapy that has sort of really resounded with me is that forgiveness is another word for acceptance. When you forgive someone, you accept what they have done, and yesterday is history, tomorrow is mystery, today is gifts, but that's why it's called the present. Acceptance, I'm trying to work a lot on acceptance in group therapy, but it's a process. This whole thing was because I've been wanting therapy for over a year now, and I, just kind of laid on the butter thick at the psychiatrist, and there's the idea that all of this is my fault. That sort of stuff, it's absurd. Group therapy, it's good in that it's a social activity with other people. I get to connect with other people. It forces me to get up in the morning and, walk, which is good for me. I find group therapy very good because I get the time to journal as well as be mindful, and I also get to hear about other people's problems, and I get to draw insight from their problems and apply that insight to my problems, which I find is useful. Let me know if you've ever been in group therapy and what did you think about group therapy compared to one-on-one therapy. The other thing that I've been really sort of working on is being positive. It's kind of absurd what I've been thinking about, i.e. so negativity and no's are, I believe, associated with depression because you have a questionnaire for anxiety or depression, the generalized anxiety. They often ask you, do you have no motivation or do you not take joy out of what you normally would? My mind, it's been thinking black and white, but it just sort of helps thinking in black and white because life is gray. Every moment has their own bits of positive and negative, so it's just easier for me to assign black or white to it and process those thoughts. I'm trying to think all positive, and it is exhausting and tiring, and it's affecting me toxically, kind of, maybe, but I've just gotta accept that absurdity. One positive that I've taken heart to is saying hi to all dogs, which is really good. Let me know if you have a dog and what are your thoughts on dogs. It's finding the little pieces of joy in the shitstorm. One big thing that I've drawn from group therapy, it's from DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, is assess the threat's feelings balance, which is assessing how prominent is the threat versus how does that threat make you feel, and then seeing if that is imbalanced and taking action if it is imbalanced. Because we feel stuff and it can be hard to sort through the feelings. Again, thank you to all of my friends. Meeting with them, I've been able to process all of my thoughts and it's good. The previous statement with the nihilism of good can be applied to happiness. It's a fun thought. And life is a roller coaster. There are ups and downs, and happiness is fleeting. Current thing that I'm just kind of dealing with right now is pointlessness with all this talk about nihilism, although I've made a whole page of things that matter to me. I just can't help my mind goes to pointlessness, and also just sort of the idea of taking a break from all of this overthinking, but it's a process, and it's about the journey, not the destination. So that's all for me. Till next time, bye.